No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken Live, episode number 146. Hit the subscribe button right now. I know you want to. If you were with me yesterday, you would have heard me describe Prince Harry, the duplicitous Duke, as the Pussy Prince. And actually, I've got some great visuals now to back that up. Thank you so much to Karen in the Dan Wootton Outspoken Club who put that together for me. But the reason he is the Pussy Prince is because you'll remember this is what he previously said about his court case versus News Group Newspapers Watch.
No, I know why people have settled. They've settled because they've had to settle. So therefore, one of the main reasons for seeing this through is accountability, because I'm the last person that can actually achieve that, and also closure for these 1,300 people and families.
Not anymore. Money talks. As soon as Harry got an offer of over £10 million, he's off. He is no longer the Dragon Slayer. He's now, I guess, the Frog Prince. But I'm going to have a lot more to say about this later on in the show, because I'll let you in on a little secret. I was booked in to give evidence versus Prince Harry in court next Thursday. So a week tomorrow. He couldn't face up to me, could he? That's what this is about. But I'll tell you later in the show what I was going to say to Prince Harry in court. But leading the show today, the MSM swallows Starmer's Southport cover-up lies hook, line and sinker as they ludicrously brand Axel Rudikabana the Amazon killer and deny he had a specific ideology. You really can't hate the establishment and legacy media enough, right? Given this terrorist piece of scum had an Al-Qaeda manual at his house, and I've reported as a practicing Muslim behind bars at Belmarsh. So in my digest next, the Southport fallout in full detail, and then Father Calvin Robinson is here live to react. Also coming up on the show today, Elon Musk and Nigel Farage driven further apart as the ex-mogul and Trump administration member agrees to fund Tommy Robinson's legal action. David Beckham sells out to the World Economic Forum. I'll show you Joey Barton's hilarious response. And as I say, how Prince Harry went from Dragon Slayer to the Frog Prince, a man who doesn't keep his promises as long as he's offered a little bit of money. Then, in the Uncancelled Aftershow, royal YouTube sensation Paula M is here for more on the Harry legal bombshell, plus the fallout from Meghan Markle's damning Vanity Fair profile and disaster tourism outrage following the LA fires. Of course, you know, the Uncancelled Aftershow, now exclusively broadcast daily and on demand on Substack. All you have to do is really, really simple. Enter your email address. Hit subscribe. You can sign up completely for free if you can afford that £5 a month plus VAT. Then you get access to all the exclusives and, most importantly, support what is now this independent media venture. Thank you very much in advance. But now, let's go. You really cannot despise the mainstream media and British establishment enough. Having spent 5 months gaslighting the population into silence over the Southport massacre and what I genuinely believe is one of the biggest cover-ups in modern history, now that Axel Rudikabana has pleaded guilty, they've found a new way to distract from the real story. And this new way, well, you couldn't make it up. As Outspoken viewers will know, the real story, of course, is that Rudikabana was radicalized by Islam, possessing an Al-Qaeda training manual, producing ricin, and even attending Muslim prayer sessions behind bars in Belmarsh. But that narrative is far too risky. So a conscious decision has been made to divert. Do you remember when the MP David Amos was killed by a lone wolf Islam extremist and the MSM decided that all they wanted to talk about was hurty words on social media? Well, that's what we are seeing unfold here. So look at today's front pages. Look at this. The culprit this time is apparently Amazon. That's right, Amazon. Because Rudikabana, who remember had been referred to the Prevent Counter-Terrorism lot 3 times, bought his knife from the Jeff Bezos corporate website. All of the newspapers swallowed Slippery Starmer and Calamity Cooper's revolting narrative, only for James O'Brien to pick up on it and, of course, link the crime to who else? Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
It was on Amazon that the Southport killer bought his knife. Amazon, of course, is owned by Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos was sitting in the row behind Donald Trump at the latter's inauguration. The man who owns the platform that still hosts and holds the footage that the Southport killer looked before he set off to that Taylor Swift dance class. He was not just sitting in the row directly behind Donald Trump. He is the guy that got on stage and did the Nazi salutes. So I am not given to hyperbole, but the aligning of these planets is at the very least notable. But what the hell can a British government do to rein them in? Because that is the fight that they've picked.
I'm sorry. That is raving, mad, delusional bullshit. How stupid do these people think we are? And actually, this is why the MSM and Uni Party are actually assured mutual destruction soon enough. Do you know Kemi Badenoch didn't raise the Southport cover-up once at PMQs today? What are you doing, Kemi? The Tories deserve to die if this is going to be your continued position. As Nigel Farage said, Starmer wants us to talk about how a 17-year-old could buy a knife online. The truth is, there are murder weapons in every kitchen drawer. What we should be talking about is the total failure to stop this terrorist and the cover-up of information that the public were entitled to. Chris Rose, he added, we currently have a Home Secretary who has seen the fact that a teenager like Axel Rudakabana can be found carrying a knife 10 times and nothing is done about it, and concluded that Amazon, where he purchased a knife, is the problem. Yvette Cooper is not fit for her role. And former UKIP MP Douglas Carswell, he actually put it even more bluntly, writing, Muslim murders kids in Britain using knife, British government clamps down on knives. Really? Meanwhile, it's now some sort of circular firing squad with the police claiming they were gagged by the CPS from releasing the true information. But as Peter Lloyd recalled, Serena Kennedy, Chief Constable of the Merseyside Police, declared that Southport was not jihad. She was either lying or chatting shit. Either should be career ending. And actually, here's the video proof of her doing just that. Watch.
What has happened are being established. At this moment in time, the investigation is not being treated as terrorist-related. I would appeal to anyone who's witnessed anything or who has information that could help us, the investigation, to contact us on Crime Stoppers.
And the authorities, by the way, they had been warned time and again. As one of Rudakabana's former classmates said, Axel was expelled for carrying a knife. He was in my class and told us that we needed a genocide like they had in Rwanda to fix the problems. Police knew, and he was known to social services. I mean, there was even video of him going mad in class. Yet this is how the MSM presented the situation. Look at this. According to LBC, Rudakabana was a literal choir boy. And then that despicable radio station allowed Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner on air to describe Nigel Farage as a conspiracy theorist for simply demanding the truth.
And she can find footage of me taking Nigel Farage on about that poster that he did that time, you know, trying to stir up.
With the row of people behind him.
With the row of people trying to stir up problems and troubles.
No, he wasn't. It's true.
And he's an MP now.
I know, and that is the point, really. As a member of Parliament, he must understand that you have a level of responsibility. You're a community leader. You're elected to represent your constituency, and therefore you have a level of responsibility with that. And it's not to stoke up what conspiracy theories or what you think might have happened or lean it into what you think. Actually, there's a responsibility to say the police are doing a difficult job. Local authorities, all of the services that are on the ground, we want to establish facts as soon as possible.
Conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories. I mean, indeed, the truth is far worse than even Farage was suggesting. Look at this from the great independent journalist Charlie Bentley Astor today, who is putting the MSM to shame over Rudy Cabana. She reports some contents of ex-Rudy Cabana's laptops were revealed by police overnight. They include cached images relating to wars and international conflicts, including in Ukraine, Gaza and Korea. But he also took a disturbing interest in ethnic cleansing. Documents found on the tablet covered a wide range of violent conflicts, including the history of Nazi Germany, violence around Buddhism in Sri Lanka, clan cleansing in Somalia, Rwandan genocide, Iraq and Balkans conflict, victims of torture, tales of beheadings, and cartoons depicting violence. This might be anticipated in someone obsessed with violence, but examine some of the books and papers found in his house and a picture begins to emerge. The violence centres around genocide and ethnic cleansing, leading to the suggestion that this was an anti-white killing. Indeed, it is only from independent commentators like Charlie and like Based and Bougie where we are actually getting closer to the truth.
Watch this video, guys.
The British man accused of the Southport attack in which 3 young girls were stabbed to death has changed his plea on the first day of his trial, pleading guilty to all charges.
Did you guys hear that? First of all, they said that this British man, okay, maybe he is a British man, but instead of calling him a British man, give him the correct pronouns. And his pronouns is terrorist. The media is so quick to call people far right, racist, transphobic. But when it comes to actually calling the terrorists, they don't want to do it.
Exactly. Let's treat an actual terrorist with respect. I've been so disillusioned watching the MSM coverage of this story. One of the only honest journalists in that space, Alison Pearson, she thinks Starmer must go over his Southport disgrace, writing, Starmer should resign. The attempted cover-up in Southport is a disgrace. People are in prison for fake news the PM knew was true. And I agree with every word of that. But with the MSM swallowing his propaganda, there seems zero chance of that. Now, Father Calvin Robinson is today's outsider. Father Calvin, great to have you here. However, not in great circumstances. I have been so angry, Calvin, looking at the MSM coverage. Finally, I thought there might be a chance to have an honest discussion, to learn about how Rudy Cabana converted to Islam. But no. The issue is Amazon. The issue is social media. The issue is Elon Musk. The issue is Donald Trump. I mean, how stupid do they think we are?
It's incredible, isn't it? So you've been covering this. You're one of the few people that have been covering this honestly from the beginning. I had Charlie Bentley Astor on my Common Sense Crusade a few weeks ago. She was always also covering this. There are a few people covering this story truthfully, but the mainstream media is not. They're clearly in cahoots with the government. There's an approved narrative. The narrative is that Amazon is to blame, for goodness sake. As you quite rightly pointed out, there's a murder weapon in every kitchen. But you can buy a knife anywhere. Everyone orders everything from Amazon. The fact that he got it from Amazon means absolutely nothing. The motive is what we want to know. Why did he want to kill these young girls? Who or what ideology has radicalized him? Who is he praying to in prison? You know, we want to have all this information. The mainstream media is not giving it to us. Why? Is the government leaning on them? Is there some kind of nudge unit in place? Are they being fed this information? Who decided to put all these headlines about Amazon at the same time, on the same day? You know, whenever we see this, there's a cover-up. The last time we saw this was when there were these so-called far-right riots and the police and the hard left were coming down to clamp down on them. Remember that? All the headlines were the same. Before that, it was over COVID. You know, the same things about the vaccines, all the masks, all the lockdowns. And we learned through people like Laura Dodsworth that this was coordinated by the government, by their tactical nudge unit. So I believe that that's still going on. The government is manipulating us via the mainstream media. And so the media should be ashamed because it's their job to hold them to account.
Yes, because it's their children. It's all of our children. It's all of our relatives who could die as a result of this. And that is a fundamental problem to me, Father Calvin, because you just think about the absolute horror, and yet there is still these diversionary tactics going on. I just do not understand. I fail to understand. And all I can think is that the MSM remain absolutely terrified to talk about the elephant in the room, Islam. Because you talk about, well, what God was he praying to? Thanks to Tommy Robinson, and I have verified this information, we know. We know.
Isn't that ironic, though, Dan? That's hilarious.
Allah.
They've locked him up.
Allah. He is operating as a Muslim behind bars.
They've locked up Tommy Robinson because they don't like him saying what he says. They don't like that he speaks the truth. So they've put him away behind bars. And what does he do? He happens to be in the same prison as this awful terrorist. So he's the only one who can feed us this information. There's a great sense of irony behind all of that.
There really is.
Trying to silence him, they've given him a platform to spread the truth.
There really is. I wanted to show this analysis from Gareth Roberts, another good independent journalist, speaking specifically about Starmer's techniques to divert and all of this, and I think it has been disgraceful. Gareth Roberts describes it as a masterclass in evasion. He says, note the lawyer tricks. One, throws up a screen about the legal definition of terrorism, as if because Rudy Cabana was acting alone, it couldn't be classed as a terror attack, which is obvious nonsense. Acts carried out by lone terrorists have been described by the authorities as terror attacks on numerous previous occasions. Two, not me, Gov. Out of my hands, mate, just doing my job to cover for his decision to comply with police, if that is actually what happened. Three, totally ignore the vital point made by, in this case, the journalist Harry Cole of The Sun, that the police identified it as a terror attack in October without collapsing the trial. And that is the point, isn't it? Gareth Roberts is completely right. Starmer thinks we're stupid. But I can see through this. You can see through this. I think everyone watching this show can see through this.
Yes, the problem is not everyone is watching the show yet, Dan. Keir Starmer's speech, was it yesterday, was disgraceful. You're quite right to think this is a new form of terrorism. We've never seen lone terrorists like this. We've seen plenty of lone terrorists in our country's history. And quite often, they are of a Mohammedan faith. So there's a commonality there that we need to discuss, but we won't get to that.
What about the David Ames killer? You know, an extreme Islam attack, without any doubt. But then, do you remember, Calvin, it was all about social media and hurty words towards MPs. It's like, no.
Well, he's still doing that now. He was still saying, this is because he's online, browsing too many harmful videos. We need to clamp down on the internet and these harmful No. Don't try and spin this off to whether it's Amazon or X, and we know he's got an agenda against X. I feel like Keir Starmer, in his speech, was slipping little nuggets in there to show us where he's going. And I think he's going to try and blame social media and say he was radicalized by harmful online video. I've never seen a beheading video. I've never seen anything that has radicalized me towards Islam, right? And I'm on social media far too often. So it's not the fault of social media. It's what this guy was searching and why and what ideology he was a part of. Let's get to the truth behind the motivation. Let's stop blaming the platforms and the tools that he used. And I think Keir Starmer is deflecting massively because he doesn't want to have a conversation. We all know the truth, but he doesn't want it out there. When he said in his speech, oh, our communities were attacked because of this and we need to protect the mosques, like, first and foremost, the mosque is not my community. I'm not part of any community that has a mosque. The mosque is contradictory to my faith, contradictory to my country's values. I think it's working actively against my community. So who is he painting as the victim here? Not the 3 British girls that were killed. It's the Mohammedans who may have been part of some back and forth between people who were upset and angry during those protests.
We're running a live poll on this today, Calvin, on YouTube. I think the results are fascinating. I asked a simple question: who is to blame for Axel Rudikabana? Do you know only 1% of the Outspoken audience, because you guys are so smart, and we know that, say Amazon and the social media companies, 13% say his parents, 26% say the police and Prevent, but 59% say Islam ideology. On the point of his parents, though, Calvin, again, I don't think they can automatically be blamed, but there is information that is being withheld. And I think we do deserve to know, given they were immigrants to this country from Rwanda. And Peter Lloyd has posted on this saying, this is the father of Axel Rudikabana. He stopped his son committing jihad at a local school just 1 week before the Southport atrocity, yet he didn't alert the UK authorities. Now the entire family have been rehoused at the taxpayers' expense and are in hiding. Now, Calvin, I'm going to be very open. That is Peter Lloyd's reporting. I have not been able to verify the fact that he did not alert the authorities. But again, don't we have a right to know? And isn't this the problem about an official cone of silence? Because what we do know, Father Calvin, is that the police had been around to Rudikabana's residence at least 5 times in the past, which does give you some idea that the parents probably were trying to sort this out. But if it wasn't their fault, and if they had tried and the authorities let them down, then we also need to know that. Likewise, we need to know about this guy's links to the previous Rwandan regimes, which remain murky at best at present.
Absolutely. I've heard that the father had reported the son to Prevent. And so there are all these different rumors going around. We don't really know what's going on because they're being so opaque about it. We need some transparency. We need to know the truth. But I think they're probably all a little bit to blame. And if the police have visited more than once, and if he's been reported to Prevent more than once, that it is the fault of the establishment. And for Keir Starmer to get up there and say in his speech yesterday that the threshold for Prevent wasn't breached, like, what is this threshold? I would guess that the threshold is that he wasn't part of any far-right organization, right? He wasn't conservative in his values. He was Mohammedan, and being of an Islamic faith, they didn't want to touch him because that could be seen as divisive and racist and all the Islamophobic and all those problematic words. The truth is, he was on the radar of the authorities as someone who was a danger to our country, to our people, to our citizens, to our way of life. And he was let off. He was worse than let off. He was let to get away with killing young British girls because of his toxic ideology. And we didn't want to be seen as racist or Islamophobic. It's abysmal that we've let this happen.
It is truly, truly abysmal. It really, really is. Breaking right now, major developments in the growing row between Nigel Farage and Elon Musk after the ex-mogul decided to fund Tommy Robinson's legal case. Now, I have confirmed this with Tommy's team, but let me give credit to the exclusive, which initially came from Brianna Morello, who reported Elon Musk is funding the legal expenses for Tommy Robinson. This includes the costs associated with Robinson's challenges against his solitary confinement. Musk is also assisting in securing premier legal representation for Robinson's terrorism trial scheduled for the 20th of March. Thank you, Elon Musk. And you can imagine how this news went down with Nigel Farage, who had this to say to Jeremy Kyle. Watch.
We're desperately trying to get together to have a meeting. It didn't quite make it happen, but we're on good speaking terms. We have a different point of view. You know, he views Tommy Robinson in a different light to me. He's even going to help fund some of his legal expenses. Fine, do what you want, Elon. That's great. The issue is that, you know, I have never wanted... There is a genuine far right, okay? They're very, very small in number, but I've never, ever wanted them to be part of this political party. And I've never thought Tommy Robinson is someone that I should open my arms up to and embrace. So, fine, some people see him as a hero for standing up and talking about grooming gangs. I just don't think he's right for me politically. And I think we've sort of reached a point where Elon and I now understand each other on that.
I'll translate that in just a moment. But first, the reaction from Paul Thorpe, an ally of Tommy Robinson, who posted on X, poor old Nigel Farage just can't get Tommy Robinson out of his head, can he? He's been at it again. Nigel, you're becoming boring now, as well as a liar. Okay, so my translation to what Nigel was saying is that Elon Musk didn't want to see him in Washington, D.C., even though they were apparently trying to meet. And the clear suggestion is that there isn't going to be some sort of reconciliation, especially now that Elon Musk has made the decision to fund Robinson's legal case. And that does stack up with what Errol Musk, Elon's dad, told me here on Outspoken on the day of the inauguration. His view is that Elon doesn't change his mind easily, and that he backs strong people, and that he doesn't feel that Farage is being strong over this. So let me bring Father Calvin Robinson in on this now. Father Calvin, firstly, want to get your reaction to this big news. It was sort of lost earlier in the week because obviously all eyes were focused on Washington, D.C. for obvious reasons. But this big news that Elon Musk is now officially funding Tommy Robinson at the same time that it looks like he's not going to be funding Nigel Farage at all. That feels like some sort of sea change, right?
That's massive. That is Elon Musk saying, this is a strong character who's clearly patriotic, puts country first, cares, versus this is a character who paints himself as strong, doesn't put the country first, puts himself first, is ambitious and careerist. Elon Musk knows these types. He's worked in Silicon Valley. You know, he's risen from the bottom to the top of the biggest and most powerful and most money-making influential people in the world. He sees this. And so he recognizes that Farage could be a strong guy, but actually falters every time because he puts himself first. Tommy Robinson, on the other hand, puts his countrymen first. And so I'm so happy that he's chosen to back Tommy of the two, because Tommy needs that help. Tommy's locked away. And for Farage to stand there and say, well, yes, you know, people see Tommy Robinson as a hero because he stood up for the girls against the grooming gangs, but he's not right for me politically. Therefore saying, yeah, this guy fought the good fight, an important fight, but it will damage my image, therefore I can't help him. So he doesn't care as much about the girls or the cause as he does his own personal political image. That says everything you need to know about Nigel Farage. But what's interesting, so I'm out here right now in DC, right? I had tickets for me and Lawrence to go to the inauguration. We've had a fantastic few days. We didn't end up going because we went to watch with Kid Rock instead at his place because we thought that'd be a more intimate, better environment to do so than cramming in with all this. There you go. But what's interesting,
shall we have a look at it, Calvin? Come on, let's have a watch of this because it's so good, and then you can pick your story up. But seeing you've mentioned it.
John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr.
Oh, Calvin, I'm so envious. I wanted to watch the inauguration with Kid Rock in a luxury Washington, D.C. hotel room. But no, it is fascinating. I was going to talk to you about your time over there, actually. What is the vibe in DC regarding this Musk versus Farage battle? Because, of course, it's Musk that is currently king of the castle, right?
Oh, absolutely. The interesting thing is that I saw Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, at the inauguration. He's the only British politician, key British politician that was there. Bear in mind, Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the opposition, wasn't there. Bear in mind, no minister or member of the Labour government was there. Bear in mind, Nigel Farage was not there, so-called best buddies with Trump and Elon Musk. I think he overplays his hand. You know, I didn't make it to the rally on the Sunday because I had church before I got out here. But Lawrence was at the rally. He said you can see Farage is like at the gates, like trying to make it look like he's as close to the stage as possible while he's taking a selfie. Like it's all image. He's trying to put this image across that he's very close to the U.S. establishment. But I don't think he is. I think he's just a bit of a clinger on. He's a bit of a wannabe, and it's quite sad, really, because if he was, you know, quite in there with them, he would have been in that room. Why was Boris Johnson there? He's not prime minister anymore, but he clearly had a good relationship with President Donald Trump while he was in office. It says all you need to say.
Yeah, it was a tough one, wasn't it? Because, of course, it was moved inside to the capital because of the biting cold. So I think all of these people would have had spots if it had been outside, but obviously choices had to be made, and it was a fascinating choice. I guess what's sad to me is that there could have been unity if Nigel had just opened his mind a little bit more, because remember, and Tommy's been very clear about this, including to me when I saw him last month, at HMP Wood Hill, he doesn't expect to join Reform UK. And it feels boring saying this, but it is an important point. He doesn't want Nigel's support. He just wants the attacks to stop. And that's what's just so odd. And the thing is, if Nigel had just stopped the attacks, listened to Musk a little bit on this, then actually Musk could have been the unifying factor between Reform UK on the establishment side, Tommy Robinson and Urban Scoop on the culture war side. And it is frustrating to me that Nigel couldn't open his mind to that, even though, as you know, I still do think Nigel Farage is the best hope that we have to realistically throw out the uni party. So I'm certainly not someone that's going to say, oh, I'm done with Farage or anything. My job, I think, is to also try and help bring these sides together. But Reform have to be careful not to go too far down an establishment path.
I've been saying this all along, that he doesn't need to support Tommy Robinson. He just needs to stop bad-mouthing Tommy Robinson.
Yes.
He could be entirely neutral.
Yes.
No, most of the time, he's not even asked a question. He's volunteering this information. It's stupid because Nigel Farage is his own worst enemy. He gets in his own way every single time. And it's for the reasons that I've laid out, because he cares too much about his image, who likes him, who doesn't like him, which parties and conferences he's invited to and which ones he's not invited to. It's the wrong motivation, I'm afraid, for a political leader. If he's our best chance at destroying the Uni Party and breaking down this corrupt system we're in, we have no hope.
I just look at what happened in Washington, D.C. this week, Calvin. I mean, I am so jealous of you, but it's a revolution. And there is virtually no fight back because the establishment in the US, the mainstream media in the US, are so comprehensively defeated. And we need to achieve that over here. And so that means Farage is going to have to take some big risks and not care so much about what the BBC says about him. Because part of what Donald Trump has managed to do is change the entire psyche of the American people. And that's part of what we're going to have to do here in the UK. Just because the BBC says that Tommy Robinson is the big bad wolf doesn't mean he is.
Right. Look at it. So here's a good juxtaposition, right? On day one of his presidency, the second presidency, President Donald Trump has released and pardoned the January 6th.
Yes.
These are political prisoners that even most people on his own side have been saying, no, you can't.
Don't do it. They said, even J.D. Vance. Even J.D. Vance said, don't release the violent ones.
Yeah, it undermines their democracy, etc., etc., etc. But he's done it because he believes it to be right. Now, bring that to the juxtaposition of the United Kingdom. Tommy Robinson, political prisoner. He's in prison for contempt of court, for goodness sake, for releasing an important documentary. But he's got, 18 months and maximum security and solitary confinement and all things that people don't get for this. And so,
all Nigel
Farage say? I can't, it doesn't help me politically. It's not within my, no, I can't. No, what he should say is, look, this is a political prisoner. It's wrong. I am going to be on his side. Even if the mainstream media and the people on my side don't like it, I'm going to do what's right. That's what people are looking for.
And
people out here in DC, they're seeing it. They're looking around saying, why are you guys, where's your Trump? Why do you guys have not, I thought Farage was your Trump. Why is he not standing up? Why is he not standing up?
Yes, and I still think, by the way, Calvin, it is possible for there to be nuance within that argument. Farage could still say, I don't support the BNP.
Right.
For example, he could say that he's absolutely within his rights to say that. And he could still say, I don't think Tommy Robinson should be a member of Reform UK. He could even say that. But I think what I'm looking for from Farage is him to say, there is no way that any human being in the United Kingdom should be in jail for a piece of journalism as you say, Tommy Robinson is a political prisoner. I've listened to what Elon Musk has to say about that. So that's what the shame is. By the way, though, Calvin, speaking about complete irresponsibility of the mainstream media, can you believe how mad they've gone trying to suggest that Elon Musk actually came out on stage as a Nazi in front of the world? Because, you know, that's what you do on inauguration night, right? Just in case you missed this, which I'm sure you haven't, but here's a reminder of how CNN fanned those flames.
They're fully engaged. He is a hero. He is a hero to them. I just want to look at that salute that he gave again. Just if anybody missed it, we'll just show it again. He's just wrapped up here. You can hear there. All right, so we just showed that. We just showed that.
Right. Salute. It was quick. I think our viewers are smart and they can take a look at that. But it certainly was. It's not something that you typically see at American political rallies. Put it that way.
No, it was not something that you usually would see. And it was quick, as you point out. It was very quick, but it was in a moment of intensity for him as he came out dancing, and then he did that. He is a hero here.
Well, actually, Father Calvin, as X has so beautifully pointed out, every single public figure has been seen doing some sort of similar action. But it was so obvious to me. He was saying, "You're in my heart," and he, you know, I mean, what did you make of it? What did you make of it?
This is good. We need more of this. They need to just keep exposing themselves, the liars and charlatans that they are. Because anyone that saw Elon Musk speaking saw that he was saying, "You're in my heart. You guys are in my heart." And it was a heartfelt moment. It's a very autistic moment. You can see he's clearly on the spectrum, and he's like jubilant. He's jumping up and down. He's like full of energy, nervous energy. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But and this is this point. They know that, but they're dishonest. They want to paint him out to be a Nazi. Look, clearly doing the Heil Hitler. But no, I mean, why would he? Well, if he wanted to, he could. But he's not a Nazi, so he's not doing it. And the people saying it are people like AOC, who we've also seen getting caught on camera doing what looks like a Heil Hitler. But we know she's not doing that because we're not stupid.
And look, even James O'Brien himself must be a Nazi. Calvin, he must be a Nazi.
To be fair, he's one of the most fascist people I've ever heard.
True.
So, yeah.
True. No, it is utterly ludicrous, without any doubt. Breaking right now, lots of criticism coming in to Saint David Beckham, although I certainly have never signed up to that ideology, over the fact that he has given himself to the despicable World Economic Forum and claimed that he's doing it for the children. So what I'm going to show you first is how the mainstream media covered this. Let's kick off with Sly News.
Thank you to the World Economic Forum for this award. I am deeply honoured to be recognised for my philanthropic work over the past 2 decades. Although I have to say work really isn't the right word for something which I find so rewarding and inspiring. This work is a privilege. It has taken me all over the world, introduced me to new communities, and it has opened my eyes to challenges facing the world's children. So, to receive this award for something that has given me so much is humbling, and I'm truly grateful. Thank you to the children who have inspired me in this work, and thank you to the incredible team at UNICEF who do so much for children everywhere, every day. Thank you again to the World Economic Forum for this incredible award. Have a great night.
Joey Barton, another former football icon, posted on X, "I must have missed David Beckham's outrage against the children being raped and sexually exploited in the UK." And he had some brilliant translation commentary about how Sly News presented Beckham here. Watch this.
Take more seriously like many other things, and it's the most important thing. So I'm here this week to be the voice of children, I think many people care about that. I think everyone cares about the future of children, and that's exactly why I'm here.
He is so thick, hasn't said a word about the kids who've been sexually exploited and raped by the grooming gangs in the UK. Absolute imposter.
I mean, I thought that was such a fair point from Joey Barton, Father Calvin Robinson. And it is fascinating, isn't it? Beckham, at the behest of the World Economic Forum, I mean, how stupid can this guy get? Just as Davos man is well and truly defeated, David Beckham decides to add some Stargust to their sick little unit. But what's more is that he talks about caring about the children and being this great UNICEF ambassador. I mean, none of that is true. If you look into the Becky Leaks emails, Beckham only does this type of charity work if he's flowing around the world in private jets and it doesn't cost him any money. But I think Joey Barton makes a really fair point. If he cared about children, why on earth has he said nothing about the rape gang scandal?
I despise all of this. I have nothing against David Beckham personally, but I despise all of this celeb culture. Like the World Economic Forum is clearly using him to polish their diminished image. And likewise, David Beckham, I don't think he knows who the WEF are. The first time he said it was like the World of the Economic Forum or something. Like he didn't really get the name right. I don't think he's aligning himself with the WEF. I think his ego has been massaged. They said, we're going to give you an award because you're doing great work. And he's been like, yeah, I am. Thank you. And so they're patting each other on the back. And it's vapid, empty celeb culture nonsense, really and truly. I think Joey Barton has a point in that if Beckham really cared, he'd be mentioning the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. But of course, it's not, because it's not a fashionable thing to talk about, is it? It's quite it's outside of the bounds of the approved narrative, and he will only operate within them. So again, I have nothing against him personally. He's just doing what the celebs do. I just despise all of that entire atmosphere. It's not my cup of tea.
Okay, Father Calvin, can we school David Beckham here? Let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt and say that he knows nothing about the World Economic Forum.
In general.
Explain to him why this is an organization that actually is damaging to the world and you really don't want to get in bed with them.
Because the World Economic Forum, which is happening right now in Davos, is a group of the world's most elite people who are all unelected, but they gather together and they invite our elected officials. And it's basically lobbyists. They're putting forward their own commercial interests and they're finding ways to squeeze that into policy. So 2 years ago when I was there, the big topic was the climate agenda. And they're all talking about how they can make money from net zero, essentially. And it's all a big scam that they're leeching off of us, the ordinary common folk. They're taking our money by saying, well, we need to have more, windmills, wind farms, and we need to have more, let's pollute the sea line, the shoreline with wind farms. Let's get more solar panels on buildings and make everything vapid and ugly. And of course, they make money from all of this. They make money from the government saying we'll be net zero by 2030 or 2025 or whatever. And it's all about how can they use virtue signaling to fill their coffers. And they're lobbying all of our politicians behind closed doors. There's no transparency. And at the same time, there's a almost communist approach to it all. In obviously the most famous line now from the WEF is a video they took down from their own Twitter a while ago, back when it was still Twitter, that said, you will own nothing and be happy. This idea that we'd live in a matrix, like we'd have a little pod room with no belongings, but we'd plug ourselves into some virtual reality environment and live our dreams in a fake world, because all the real things, all the real stuff will be owned by the 1%. But we won't have to own anything because they'll let us live. They'll let us live for nothing.
I don't give David Beckham a pass, though, because I think he's a complete hypocrite when it comes to this stuff. Remember, he's the guy who will talk about gay rights and women's rights, but have no problem taking millions and millions from Qatar. Now, by the way, I would have no problem with him taking millions and millions from Qatar, but stop your virtue signaling preaching.
No, I mean, that's fair enough. I honestly just don't think he knows enough about anything. When I see him take money from Qatar and then go and preach on gay rights, I don't think he thinks, oh, that thing's contradicting that thing. I think he just thinks, well, they gave me money. They've given me money. Great. It's not all they've got me to speak and raise my profile. They've raised my profile. I think it's all like it's an image thing. It's a branding thing. I don't really think he cares too much about anything because he doesn't really have the same issues and worries that the rest of us do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is easy to sort of like dismiss David Beckham as like the village idiot, right? And I do understand that there is that argument. Like, don't get me wrong, he is a beloved person in a lot of ways, but this idea that actually, he doesn't know that much. But when I read through all of the Becky Leaks emails, and by the way, quite rightly, he was absolutely furious about their release, which I think probably was illegal because, that is totally wrong. However, the point is they were released. They did go public. And this was a guy who is very aware of how he can use charity projects in order to further his image. He doesn't want to pay a penny. He was absolutely fuming and demanding about the idea that any of the money for UNICEF might come from his pockets. And effectively, Father Calvin, he did admit that he wanted to do all of this simply to become a knight of the realm, to become Sir David Beckham. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been some brilliant PR stunts, right? Do you remember after the late Queen's death, he lined up for 12 hours. Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby skipped the queue.
Gosh.
So I'm not saying that Beckham doesn't have some good points to him, but this idea that all of the work that he does is completely altruistic, I think is quite naive. He's actually a very savvy business person who uses organizations like UNICEF to advance his own agenda. Now, look, they probably think, yeah, that's fine because we make millions and millions from you. But this idea that he's a salt of the earth character is for the birds.
No, I don't buy into that at all. I do see it all about the brand of the Beckhams, and they're both very much involved in that. I haven't seen the leaks. I haven't read the emails and stuff, which I do agree with you. It's always horrible to see personal communications leaked. It's something to see that happen.
Can you put that
but
up?
But if behind the scenes he's saying, I just want to get knighted, then what's the point of the knighthood if it's just for this title, if it's just for the sake of it, having another thing? But I suppose if you can buy pretty much anything, the one thing you want is the thing that you can't buy, right?
Yeah, indeed. It is. I mean, yeah, they were very interesting, these emails. I remember them at the time because he quite literally said in regards to his role as a UNICEF ambassador, I don't want to do it and won't do it with my own money.
Wow.
And I just thought, wow. He also, of course, has desperately groveled to the royal family. He's now close with King Charles. He's close with David Beckham. But do you remember part of this Becky Leaks email? Probably the thing that got the most coverage was his absolute rant about the fact that Catherine Jenkins had received an OBE for, in his words, singing at the rugby and taking coke. And he said that was an effing joke. So look, all I'm saying here, I'm not trying to hark back to those emails too much, but what I am saying, Calvin, is do not trust this guy when it comes to the World Economic Forum. He is cozying up to the World Economic Forum for his own reasons. The World Economic Forum remains a very, very dangerous outfit.
That's a very fair comment. And actually, I don't trust anyone that's been out to meet the World Economic Forum. Anyone that's involved in that, anyone that's got their face up on their pages. You'll notice there's some high-profile British politicians that I used to support that I don't badmouth, but I certainly do not support anymore since they've been out there to the WEF. It's not a good place for people to be associated. It's not a good idea.
Indeed, it's not. Indeed, it's not. Well, Father Calvin Robinson, do stand by. Much more from you in just 1 minute, because there is this big breaking news today that Prince Harry has proven himself to be a pussy and a fraud. I'll tell you why in just 1 minute. First, though, hot flashes, sleepless nights, weight gain, joint pain. I know a lot of you are dealing with or have dealt with these symptoms, especially the women in the Outspoken family. Now, obviously, I haven't experienced menopause firsthand for very obvious reasons, but I've heard from so many of you about the challenges that come with it. And today, I'm coming to you with good news. By now, most of you have heard me talk about Verso. I've been taking their products for months, and it's been absolutely transformative for me. But today, I want to focus on all of you amazing women out there, especially those dealing with menopause or perimenopause. I've heard from so many of you about how tough this phase of life can be. Well, Cell Being by Verso is designed to target those symptoms head on by addressing the root cause. It's formulated with ingredients that are proven to increase NAD+ levels in the body. That's huge because NAD+ is what keeps your cells healthy and energized, but it drops off as we age and especially during menopause. Here's the thing. Boosting NAD+ can make a big difference in how you feel. Women who've taken Celbean are reporting some pretty amazing changes. Hot flashes disappearing, more energy, joint pain relief, weight loss, and mental clarity. I've even heard from some listeners who've told me their periods have come back or have become regulated and they feel like they've turned back the clock on aging. The ingredients in Celbean have shown to balance hormones without going the traditional hormone therapy route. It also helps with inflammation and metabolism, which is especially helpful for managing weight and keeping you feeling your best. Plus, these research-backed ingredients have been shown to improve bone health, which is crucial for postmenopausal women at risk of osteoporosis. What I love about Celbean, and I think you will too, is that it doesn't just mask the symptoms of menopause, it tackles the root causes of aging, helping you feel stronger, healthier, and more energized from the inside out. If you haven't tried it yet and you're ready to take control of your health and feel more like yourself, click the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble or head on over to buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. So if you're tired of the sleepless nights, the hot flashes, or just feeling off, give Celbean a try. It's already helped so many of you, and I'm confident it can help even more of you feel better too. So I'll just repeat the address, buy.ver.so/outspoken and use the coupon code outspoken. But now, back to the show. Breaking right now, Prince Harry is a pussy. Today we received the proof. He bottled it, just like I told you he would bottle it. So let me give you the background here. Prince Harry, remember, claimed he was the Dragon Slayer, claimed he was the man who was going to take down Rupert Murdoch, no matter what, no matter how much money they put on the table, he would go through this spurious and ridiculous and ludicrous lawsuit against News Group newspapers and The Sun. Well, guess what, folks? Today, Prince Harry received a big fat check for a minimum of £10 million, and all of a sudden, the Dragon Slayer became the Frog Prince. All of a sudden, his morals went out the window. All of a sudden, his fight for the little guy meant nothing. And guess what happened too? I can tell you now that I was due to face Prince Harry in court a week on Thursday. And I was going to deliver this man some home truths from the witness box. So given Harry bottled it, given this court case will no longer take place, given he can now go back to Meghan Markle and say, darling, good news, you can use the private jet for a little bit longer because I've got us 10 million big ones. Let me tell you what I was going to say to David Sherborne, Prince Harry's barrister, and Prince Harry himself in court while I gave evidence, or if I wasn't given that opportunity outside the court. Prince Harry, I was the executive editor of The Sun from 2013. During that time, Meghan Markle entered the royal family and the coverage of you completely changed. I can confirm under oath, and I will happily do so, that all of my journalism was completely legally obtained. There were no private investigators. There was no phone hacking. There was no blagging. I'm a real journalist. I don't do that type of thing. I condemn that historic behavior. But the reason, Prince Harry, that I was able to break so many stories about you and your wife was because of your appalling behavior. It was because of the fact that you bullied staff at Buckingham Palace. It was because of the fact that even other members of the royal family, even the late Queen Elizabeth II, was so disgusted by the way you acted within the royal family. And that is why people were prepared to take a great risk to themselves and give me these stories, which were the truth, by the way. And you can't handle the truth, which is why you're on this deranged campaign against the British media. I repeat, the actions that were criminal in the past were wrong. But think of what's happened as a result since then. The royal editor of the News of the World has gone to jail. The News of the World has shut. Rupert Murdoch has paid out well over £1 billion. This is over. And I do think that you were particularly disgraceful to condemn your brother for settling with News UK when you have now done exactly the same thing. And Father Calvin Robertson, I have a proposition for Prince Harry here. He's just received £10 million. He insists it's not about the money. Calvin, if Harry really cares about these wildfires in Los Angeles, as he claims to, if he is really correct that this is some sort of passion project and he wants to help Californians out of this mess, surely he should announce today, Father Calvin, that the entire settlement, the £10 million plus, will go to charity relief for the LA wildfires, because he is the one insisting it's not about the money.
Wouldn't that be the noble thing to do, Dan? If he wants to show that he's not just a virtue signaler, that he lives a virtuous life, he would donate the money, or at least the large majority of that money, to the causes. Like, cover your costs, cover the legal expenses, whatever, if you need to, but donate all of that money to charities that will help people suffering in that area. Absolutely, I'm with you 100% on that.
Let me just take you through a couple of the different points of view on this, Father Calvin. So Chris Shipp, he is the royal editor of ITV, but he's a propagandist for Prince Harry. You've always got to remember that. ITV are in the tank for Prince Harry and Meghan. So this is what he wrote about it. He said, the damages awarded by MGN to Prince Harry are between 10 and 20 million pounds, according to a well-placed source. Translation, Prince Harry. But this was not about the money. For Harry, he wanted the Sun to admit unlawful activity. Harry's legal team say NGN deleted 30 million emails, some after police had started their investigation. But according to Taz, this is how she countered that. She's, of course, the royal YouTube sensation, a regular here on Outspoken. So she said, Tasha said, so Harry attacked his brother for taking a payout, tried to make it sound sinister and part of a secret agreement with the palace, and then he takes a payout. What a total sellout. All those interviews spouting he was going to slay dragons. As one person said, he's less of a dragon slayer and more of a Puff the Magic Dragon, puffing out nothing but hot air. What happened to I'm the only one who will see it through to the end. I am the only one who will fight for all the victims and will not take a settlement. It's about accountability. Oh, larger settlement being offered. Thanks, bye. Now let's see if he donates every penny to charity, just like his brother Prince William and Catherine did, including a large payment to the Invictus Games. Lord knows they could do with a financial boost. Will Harry give it all away? I think we know the answer to that.
It does seem that everybody has a price, doesn't it? You can't sit there and say, this is not about the money. I won't take the money. I won't do that. Oh, 10 million. Oh, okay. Well, that's a different story entirely. It just looks bad. It makes himself look like a massive hypocrite. Choose your cause, stick to your cause, die on your heels for your principles. Don't falter when the next big guy comes along and tries to buy you off, because the next fight, nobody will believe you. And this is the problem with Prince Harry. He keeps doing this. In the next fight, nobody's going to believe a word he says.
He is the ultimate boy who cried wolf, because I'll just play this to you, Calvin, just to remind you, because at the New York Times Deal Book Summit, and remember, this was just last month, a few weeks ago, he was absolutely adamant he was going through with this thing. Watch.
I was going to say 1,300 people from what I've read, have settled with the Murdoch folks. And of the 40 claimants that originally joined with you in this action, it's down to now 2. Yeah. There are some reports that suggest that even if you win in court, the amount that would be awarded to you would be less than what you could have gotten by settling.
Oh, I mean, 100 times over.
100 times over.
Even if or when we win, I'm still liable for the legal costs of both sides.
And so you think that everybody's just settled because it just doesn't make any economic sense to continue?
No, I know why people have settled. They've settled because they've had to settle. So therefore, one of the main reasons for seeing this through is accountability, because I'm the last person that can actually achieve that, and also closure for these 1,300 people and families.
Wow. In terms of that accountability, just so I understand it.
Do you remember when I said I couldn't talk about it?
Yeah.
And he got angry then, Calvin. He got tetchy. But the point is, that was bullshit, wasn't it? It was bullshit, because as soon as the £10 million check was produced, none of that mattered. None of that accountability mattered. It was all out the window.
If he thinks he's the only one who can bring accountability and he's just opted out, therefore he's saying there's not going to be any accountability. If he thinks he's the only one who can get any justice for these victims and he's just stepped outside and took £10 million, he's saying they're not going to get justice and he is the one at fault then, surely, by his own logic.
Let's have a look at how Sly News reported this. Because what annoys me, Calvin, is, I mean, look, it's just like we always say, but the MSM, yet again, they've swallowed Harry's propaganda. Watch this.
Absolutely extraordinary. We know that Prince Harry, as he said when he released his book Spare, he was making it his life's work to take on the mispractices of the tabloid press. This was going to be his day in court. This was going to be his opportunity to make News Group newspapers, the publishers of The Sun and the News of the World, finally answer questions about the unlawful activities that he claimed were being carried out by reporters and private investigators in order to obtain stories about him and so many other people. But what has happened today is that News Group newspapers have, in essence, given him the apology that he has wanted. This has never been about the money, as he has always said. Financially, he was always potentially set to lose out. They were offering him settlements clearly in the run-up to this trial. He was refusing them, but he knew that even if he won this case, even if he won damages, he could still potentially have lost out financially, because he would have had to pay his own costs and those of the opposition. But today, as I say, News Group newspapers have released what is this extraordinary apology.
Oh my goodness, how stupid are they? How can they believe that it's not about money? But Chris Shit was peddling the same propaganda over on Woke ITV.
Court. Chris, Lord Watson, we've just seen him there, praised Harry's bravery and astonishing courage against the big beasts of the tabloid jungle. This is a huge moment for him, isn't it?
Well, absolutely huge, yes. And actually, in the end, it was a very short moment in court this morning when Harry and Tom Watson's lawyer, David Sherborne, stood up and just read out that full and unequivocal apology from News Group newspapers. Remember, it is the first time that they have admitted that there was unlawful activity at the Sun newspaper, although previously, as we've heard, they have admitted to phone hacking at the News of the World. But look, Harry always said this wasn't about the money, although we should point out the damages he's going to receive, as I understand it, is somewhere between 10 and 20 million pounds. It's not inconsequential. But Harry always said this was about accountability. He even called himself at one stage the Dragon Slayer. And as he said to us, ITV News, in a documentary we broadcast last summer, that it was all about the little people taking on the big media barons.
This is a David versus Goliath situation. The Davids are the claimants, and the Goliath is this vast media enterprise. I'm trying to get justice for everybody.
Father Calvin, how can you, as a reporter, report with a straight face that, oh, he's going to be receiving 10 to 20 million pounds, but it's not about the money? I mean, Harry and Meghan are facing bankruptcy at the moment. They're going to be dead broke at some point over the next couple of years. Of course it's about the money.
Of course it is. And I don't think that reporting was even factual. You know, the first one we listened to, just like, they've clearly had offers all throughout the way. Now, we don't know if they've ever had any offers. They would have been without prejudice. We know that he's had an offer now and he's accepted that offer. So perhaps this is the first time they put money on the table, or perhaps he's been waiting for a certain amount, a bigger amount. So maybe it has always been about the money. Maybe the whole, I'm David and we're fighting Goliath. I mean, first of all, that's putting yourself in that position. That's a bit of a pedestal to put you on. But perhaps this whole narrative has been about, I'm not going to buckle, I'm going to stick it through, I'm going to see it through, he said. All that's been about getting the biggest amount out of them. It's just been a cash-making thing, which is, let's be honest, what Harry and Meghan do these days.
Exactly, but he had a price. Oh my goodness, Calvin. The YouTube live chat on this is cracking me up. I love our outspoken audience. Mary Bradley wrote, Harry's charity begins at home. There's 3 of them. The mansion, Harry's home, and Meghan's home. Carl Worrell said, to be fair, I trust Meghan to spend that wisely after the divorce. And EE Submariner said he will need all the money he can get when Meghan rinses him in the divorce court. And it's true. It's true. Money is going to become an issue. And that's why King Charles is so concerned, I think, that at some point they're going to be back with the begging bowl. But as I say, the settlement might delay that for a couple of years. But I just hope everyone can now see that Prince Harry actually has no morals. Actually, he has a money motivation, and that's what this has all been about. But Father Calvin Robinson, what a day. Great to have you from
What a week,
Washington,
Dan.
DC.
What an absolute week.
God, I know. Highs and lows. Highs and lows. It's been a week of highs and lows. Highs for you in the US, lows for us here in the UK. But thank you so much for being here. Don't go anywhere, though, because coming up in the Uncancelled After Show, we have much more on this with the royal YouTube sensation, Paula M. So do not go anywhere. We're also, of course, going to touch on the fallout from Meghan Markle's damning Vanity Fair profile, and also the LA fires, disaster, tourism outrage. Paula M has been doing lots of exclusive reporting on that. Substack is a safe space. It's not patrolled by big tech. That's why I'm desperate for you to sign up. www.outspoken.live. I shouldn't really admit that I'm desperate, should I? But I hope that prompts you to do it. The reason that I'm desperate, let me just explain, is because the difference with Substack compared to other platforms is that you cannot be cancelled. The database and the communication that we have, I can take with me. That's really important. You've seen what happens when other folk are cancelled on these big tech platforms. They disappear. So I don't want to do that. All you have to do is enter your email address. It is completely free. www.outspoken.live is the address. And we're going to move on over now to continue to kick off the after show on Substack. But I am back tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It is going to be a big day. Tomorrow, Connor Tomlinson is here, but we are going to have all the reaction to that sentencing of Axel Rudakabana, where more details are expected to emerge about the Southport cover-up. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope to see you on the after show on Substack in just one moment. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.